Good evening, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back with you once again on what is probably to date the hottest day of the year. So it's evening, things are beginning to cool off, but oh, it was a hot one today. And this video is going to be about this particular concept, not necessarily this particular board. So this, for those of you who are astute students of my channel, will know that this is a base, a wood base from an RCBS progressive reloading tool, aka the Green Machine. Now, originally, and I've made a couple comments about these bases that, and I showed one video with a bunch of papers of, I believe, and have since reinforced that belief that all Green Machines came with a wooden base that is approximately 12 by 12 with 45-degree cuts. So if you Google Green Machines, you'll see a whole bunch of these boards with the machine approximately 5 inches offset from the front because of the amount of leverage to work the ram slash handle. So my first press didn't come with a board. My number 2 press did. My number 5 press did, and that one's the one that's in the best shape. And then my numbers 3 and 4, one of them, I can't remember if it was Dusty or Mouse, that came with this particular board. And I believe this was the original board that it shipped with, just because the 12 by 12, 45 degree, who does that? Other than somebody like me with my OCD trying to recreate. So, I don't know if this was, RCBS taking that much precision, which is technically off on this one, but these are the holes. In any case, I wanted to do something to pay homage to this design. So you saw before on my 45 ACP where I made just an oak base so I could mount it to my table. So I decided, again, to pay homage and do something very similar for 2 reasons. One, I like the way my first attempt came out. And 2, I wanted to get better at the pour glazing process, the resin glazing, the part A to part B, mixing, pouring, and then leveling, and then letting it cure for 3 days. And what I've done is, I don't know where I can leave this, let me move it out of the way, is I have taken 2 pieces of salvage oak. It looks like, what is that, 3/4 of an inch? Half an inch at least. A little more than, about 3/4 inch. Technically, today's 3/4, not yesterday's 3/4. So what I did was, I had picked up an oak filing cabinet that I was going to, and actually ended up doing, taking that wood, it was somebody's freebie garbage, come pick it up at the curb. I took that and I built my drill press, not a cart, drawer stand to hold my drill bits and all that stuff. So the 2 front pieces were oak, and this was the left side, right side, because the middle had all these carve outs. And I was going to use each one of these sides. There's the line. I was going to use each one of these sides for the front of my drawer faces on my drill press cabinet, but these are heavy, too heavy for that particular use. So I set them aside. But when I decided to make this, and I realized the dimensions when I put these 2 pieces of wood together, I'm like, oh, it's almost 12 by 12. It was more like 14 by 14. So some gluing and some cutting, 45-degree angle, 12 by 12, 5-inch reset. recess rather, for the actual press. I did not put holes for my particular bench, because this is not meant for my bench. This is meant, recessed mounting holes. It's been poly coated, got some heavy duty feet, and love the way the finish came out. I did it in three coats. The first coat was a skim coat to try and seal it, so that you don't have you can't feel the sticker. The second coat, and again, there's enough room here for the green bin, and then obviously the press. The second coat was, a good coat, but there were still some bubbles. I don't care how much you hit it with a propane torch, I don't care what you do, there's some bubbles. And the third one got rid of most of the bubbles, and still a few bubbles appear, but it's relatively acceptable. My best to date in terms of trying to do this process. So, my son tells me, yeah, you need a vacuum air sealing device. I'm like, yeah, I don't do this for a business. So if I did it for a business, I would invest in some vacuum sucking out device, pressure vacuum thingy bob, so that there's no air, and it would just suck the air bubbles out. But for doing this at home, in the family room kind of thing, I think it came out great. It has a nice gloss to it, nice finish to it. It's solid, again, 3/4 inch thick. It's glued 2 pieces, and everything is cut out for the press. So I will mount one of my presses. I think I will mount press number 2, which you saw me troubleshoot. Maybe you haven't seen it yet, but I will publish the troubleshooting of press number 2. And press number 2, I think, if memory serves, is pretty clean, and I will leave it on here mounted, and that goes into what I would call my display museum near all my old computers and other old presses like the C&H, stuff that is usable, but something I will not use. So that is about it. I mean, this came out great, and I'm very happy with it, and I think it pays homage to this. A better version, definitely cleaner, definitely newer, more robust, thicker. This is just essentially plywood. Did the trick, but this should be a little nicer, a little more salute to what I think is a pretty cool old reloading press. So that is it for this video. Hello, YouTubers, Reloading Bench back to you once again. We are going to tack this onto the base homage video for 2 reasons. One, because I need to remove this particular press. This is press number 2, which you've seen before, depending on when the videos come out. This is relatively clean and completely feature-rich. And I'm going to mount this particular press to my homage base that goes in the museum. But the reason I wanted to pull this particular press off of this base, or rather show you this, again, we're roughly looking at a 12 by 12 base, roughly 5-inch, 4 3/4 inch recessed, almost equal high 2, 2.5 to 2 3/4, almost 3 on each side. So relatively centered. But what I'm going to do is show you what's under the press within this base. So back in a minute after I yank this press off. All right, so the reason I wanted to show this by pulling this press off, again, this was press number 2. So this came with this base, and I don't recall. I think it's interesting. I don't know who, was this an RCBS boo-boo that was obviously covered up by, the press being mounted, because whoever did these 2 only did 1 screw there. So I thought, that's kind of interesting. But what I really found interesting was this center hole, which matches this base from, this was either Dusty or Mouse, presses 3 and 4. Again, so let's see. This should fit in theory because of, let's see. Nope, there's enough difference there that whoever did this, you can see the holes. Well, maybe you can't. Let's see, can I shine a light there? So obviously, so there is the hole. Let's see if I can. So there is the hole. So that's off. So whoever did these base creations, because I find the probability of two bases that have a hole in approximately, if not identically, the same spot. I find that, yeah, that's pretty X-Files-y-ish. So you know, again, these these dimensions, this approximately 12 by 12 with 45-degree cuts, and then depending on who was doing the drilling that day, let's see if those holes align. No, the holes, yeah, the holes are off by about half an inch or so. So depending on, I'll call it, you know, the Monday Friday factor. You know, was one of these built, was this one built on a Monday or Friday, and some oopsies. But anybody have any ideas why a hole there? Unless maybe that was part of the production process, and that's how they move the trays, or excuse me, the bases along the production line, was through the hole there. But yeah, that's really interesting, or at least to me interesting. What's the purpose of that hole? Because there's nothing underneath the press in that location. The press has a solid bottom that only has the 3 openings for the bolts. So a little bit of a mystery. If anybody knows what that little cutout is for, and it doesn't align with the primer, because the primer is over here, the primer pocket, primer bottle. So if somebody was thinking, oh, this is a way to, you know, underneath your bench to route the primers if you had a drop tube or something, that's not for that. So we are now building a little bit of a collection of these 12 by 12 bases with 45-degree cuts and a strange circle in the same location on each board. So that is that. All right, YouTubers, Reloading Bench back with you once again. Press number 2 is all cleaned up, ready to go. I was going to purchase new nuts and bolts and washers. I was going to go the black oxide look for here. And then I decided to clean up these old bolts. So I don't know if you paid any attention, but they were pretty grody. So I wire wheeled them. Then I was going to black oxide them, and then or blue them. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to leave them as is to pay homage of connecting this old base with the new base and mounting this. So I'll take a shot of these bolts on that press with the new base, and that will be the end of base homage. We will call the base homage done. Mounted, original hardware from this base. Not sure what I'll do with that wood. Maybe it's a plaque for something. And this is done. Very portable little base, or a very portable little system in terms of like taking out to the range, as compared to the Hornady or the Dillon or others, even the Lee, you know, depending, you know, on how you have to mount that and what kind of platform you have to put it on. So this is done. Done.